Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about augmentative and alternative communication,
Okay.
or AAC for short. I think a lot of our listeners have probably heard of AAC,
Sure.
but we're going to get into some of the details that I think will surprise people who maybe think they know what AAC is.
Yeah. AAC is really fascinating because it goes beyond just like speech.
Right.
It's really about making sure that everyone has a way to communicate and have their voice heard regardless of any kind of
Yeah,
challenges they might be facing.
exactly. And we're going to bust some myths about AAC along the way too.
Absolutely.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly is AAC?
So AAC, it's not just one thing. It's really a whole toolbox of different tools and strategies that can help people with communication difficulties to express themselves.
Yeah, I love that analogy of the toolbox because it really is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you open up the toolbox and you're like, okay, what do we need for this person?
Yeah, exactly. And it can be anything from like low-tech things like sign language or picture cards
Yeah.
to high-tech gadgets like, speech generating devices or even, using computers or tablets to communicate.
Right. And for some people, it's not about replacing speech altogether.
Right.
It's about making their speech clear or
Yeah.
augmenting it in some way.
Absolutely. It's about finding the perfect fit for that individual and their needs.
So who are we talking about when we say that people benefit from AAC?
Yeah, it's a really wide range of people. You might think of people with conditions like cerebral palsy,
Yeah.
autism, Down syndrome, who maybe have difficulty speaking.
Right.
But it can also be people who have acquired communication difficulties later in life.
Okay.
So maybe due to a stroke or ALS or Parkinson's disease.
So this can be both a long-term solution or even a temporary aid too,
Exactly.
depending on the person and their needs.
Yeah, depending on what's going on.
So how does someone actually get started with AAC?
Well, the first step is getting an AAC evaluation. And that's really like a roadmap to finding the right tools and strategies for that person.
So it's not just like one person decides, here's your AAC device.
No, it's a team effort.
Okay.
It involves the individual, of course, their family, and then a whole team of professionals.
Right.
Like speech language pathologists, occupational therapists, assistive technology specialists.
And the family involvement, especially for young children, I know that's really emphasized in a lot of the sources we looked at.
Yes, absolutely, because they know the child best.
Right.
And they can provide really valuable insights into the child's communication needs.
Okay, so you've had your evaluation. What kind of questions should you be thinking about when you're choosing an AAC system?
Well, first you have to think about the person's cognitive and learning abilities.
Okay.
Do they learn best visually through pictures, auditorily through sounds, or maybe through hands-on experience?
You don't have to think about how they learn best.
Exactly. And then you also have to consider their physical abilities.
Right.
Can they control their hands? Do they have good, fine motor skills? Do they need something that's adapted for their specific needs?
Yeah, that makes sense because some systems you have to be
Yeah,
able to like point or press buttons, and some are more hands-free.
exactly.
So that's a really important consideration.
And then you also want to think about what are the most important things that this person needs to communicate.
Like, is it just basic needs like I'm hungry or I need to go to the bathroom?
Right, exactly.
Or is it more complex thoughts and feelings where,
Yeah.
wanting to engage in conversation?
Yeah, it really depends on the individual and their goals.
Right.
And we also want to make sure that the person actually enjoys using the system.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be motivating for them.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Because if it's not something that they like,
Yeah,
they're not going to use it.
exactly.
So I definitely want to spend some time talking about speech generating devices or SGDs,
Okay.
because I think those are really fascinating.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about how those work?
So imagine you have this device and you can type in words or sentences, and then the device speaks those words or sentences out loud for you.
Wow.
So it's basically giving you a voice if you're not able to speak on your own.
And some of them have like eye tracking technology too, right?
Yeah, that's right. So if someone has limited mobility, they can actually control the device with their eyes.
That's amazing.
It's pretty incredible technology.
So now that we've covered some of the basics, let's talk about some of those myths that I mentioned,
Okay.
because there are a lot of misconceptions about AAC floating around out there.
Yeah, that's true.
So one that I hear a lot is that AAC will actually prevent someone from developing natural speech.
Right.
But what does the research say about that?
The research actually shows the opposite.
Really?
AAC can actually help improve natural speech and language development.
So how does that work?
Well, by giving people a way to communicate consistently, it actually strengthens their language skills overall. And there was a study in 2020 that showed that children who use AAC actually had a larger spoken vocabulary
Yeah.
than children who didn't.
Wow.
So it's really debunking that myth.
Another myth that we hear a lot is that AAC is only for older children.
Right.
But is that true?
No, not at all. Even infants and toddlers can benefit from AAC.
Oh, wow.
You know, if you think about it, early intervention is key for any kind of developmental delay.
Right.
And communication is no different.
So the earlier, the better.
Exactly.
And then finally, there's this idea that you have to have certain cognitive skills.
Yeah.
Like understanding cause and effect or something before you can use AAC.
Right.
But that's not true either, right?
That's another myth AACs really for anyone, regardless of their cognitive abilities. You know, there are AAC systems designed for people with a wide range of needs.
Okay.
And so there's no prerequisite for starting to use AAC.
That's really good to know. I think this has been such a fascinating conversation about AAC.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how technology can really help break down communication barriers.
Yeah. And I can only imagine what the future holds for AAC.
I know, me too. You know, with advancements in AI and virtual reality and all these things,
Right.
it's exciting to think about.
What other amazing innovations are on the horizon?
Yeah, what new possibilities are out there?
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive today. I hope this has given everyone a better understanding of AAC and all the incredible ways that it can help people communicate.
Yeah, if you're interested in learning more, there are tons of resources available online, and you can always reach out to a speech and language pathologist or other professional.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll see you next time.